There you go.
You're right there.
There you go. That's
Say Kaye.
Then you won't be running against the wall.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I don't really know what to do. We were talking about the mask wearing. I don't really know what to do, but today we'll keep our masks on, and then I guess I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell people that they can take them off if they're comfortable. I don't know what to do. Gail, yeah, there's some on the desk.
Okay.
Yeah, right there in that box. See the
I
box?
see him. Oh, that's.
Donna brought those.
I think it depends. If everybody's vaccinated, I think you're fine. But you know, if somebody isn't, you just can't do that.
Well, I know, and the problem is, what am I gonna, I'm not gonna make people tell me. It's really a private thing. So,
It is.
so I just think maybe it'd be safer for us to keep them. I am gonna investigate this air filtration thing we're talking
I'll call
about.
back to
Trudy
that.
brought up.
Isn't that expensive for you?
I don't
We
know.
don't know. We're gonna find out.
No, we don't want you to spend money.
Yeah, no.
No, I mean, I can't spend hundreds of dollars or anything. But,
We don't have them, but we have one in our family room at home and one in our bedroom for allergies.
Right.
you do?
This is not, these are some that McFarland put in, months ago.
Yes.
And, I know there are two at the front of the church sanctuary. I don't know if there probably are two at the back, but that's, a giant sanctuary. So I'm gonna talk to Scott Mitchell, who's our, finance person, director, because I think he was involved heavily with all of that.
Yeah.
And find out effectiveness and companies, and maybe there's an independent kind of health person you could ask about if they.
Right, if they're
Maybe
really
the health
work.
department has somebody that, so I'll ask him all those things.
Okay.
And we'll
Thank
find
you
out.
for
Well, sure.
asking.
Now, the thing about this, I keep thinking, okay, now, if one person in the class or two is not vaccinated, and they could be carrying, but of course, we could be carrying it even vaccinated.
Exactly.
But if they,
We could all be carrying it.
like,
I know.
we might not get it, but they might get it because we're carrying it, but that's their decision not to wear a mask. So, I
I
don't know.
don't know.
We could all chip in if it turns out to be
Yes, that's what I said.
chicken
That's a good idea.
financially for the air.
That's we
Yeah,
don't.
that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna
Right.
see if what that
Because I
is.
would be more than willing to chip in.
You see.
Well, thank you all. All
Well,
right.
and I wonder if you actually said something like, and I don't even know if this would be right or not, if you said, to every class that you had it, that, January 1, I'm gonna plan on, no masks. If you wanna wear a mask, fine.
Right.
It's like they said on the news last night.
Right.
Don't make people feel bad if they want to wear one.
Sure.
Right.
Then if you said, I'm not gonna require them,
Right.
after January 1, so it will be up to any of you that have not had it.
Right.
We're gonna maybe have an air filter system. and
Right,
all this
right,
kind of
right.
stuff.
That's
But,
good. Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a lot of responsibility on you, so we want to make it not hard on you.
Right.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, I don't know what to do, so. But I'm gonna see what you find out.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So sit comfortably for now, and if you're in your chair, get your feet hip distance apart and parallel. If you're on the floor, get comfortable for your hips. Close your eyes and lengthen up through the top of your head. Feel your feet on the floor. And then just feel the breath coming in and going out through your nose. Receiving those breaths. And let your eyes soften, your face soften. And releasing your arms on out beside you here now. Well, let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And exhale, bring the hands right down through the midline in front of your chest. And we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And let's inhale here. And on the exhale, twist to your left. Bring yourself around into that easy twist, lengthening up through the top of your head. And again, feel your feet gently pressing down, whatever part of your feet are on the touching the floor there. One more inhale. And on the exhale, unwinding back around into the other direction. Waking the spine up here with these easy little twists. And one more inhale. And on your exhale, bring yourself on back around into center. Let's cross our right ankle above or below our knee. So stretching your right leg out if you're on the floor and coming into that figure four. And then just easing your way forward. And you know you're welcome to put your hand on your foot. You can, if you want, you can even like massage your toes a little bit or interlace your fingers between your toes if that feels good. Making space between your toes a little bit, right? Remember, you're coming forward with a nice long back, just trying to find your hip a little more release there. Good. One more breath. And then come on back up. Now, if you can, take hold of your leg, lower leg there, and just lift it up a little bit. See if you can rock it back and forth. It doesn't have to be very high. And if you can't lift it up at all, don't. Try to let the hip release. Good. And then come on back down, and we are going to switch legs. So, uncrossing and recrossing the other leg there, and flexing through that foot. And again, as you think about coming a little bit forward, just ease your way to where you can be. Take your time if you want to feel your foot pressing into your hand, or again, I mean, you know, if your foot needs a little massage, go for it, or you're wrapping your fingers between your toes there if you want. And just enjoy feeling that release now of that hip. Good, and then we'll slowly rise back up. Again, as you take hold of your leg and you try to lift it up a little bit, just let your arms do the work of holding that heavy leg up there. Let it just move a little side to side. Good. And then we'll come on back down. We're going to uncross our legs and stretch them out in front of us for a second and move through your feet and your ankles, circling both ways. If you feel like you want to go the same direction, you know you can do that. You can play a little bit with your feet moving around. Good. Feel those ankles. And then we'll come on back. If you were cross-legged, sit with your other leg in front if you can. We'll release our arms on down beside us. And let's all inhale our right arm all the way out and up overhead. Bend your elbow. Let yourself just reach up through the elbow, wherever you can be with that. You know that. Just feeling your tricep a little bit. And then stretch the arm back up long, and let's come over into a little side stretch. So on the floor, your left hand can give you a little support. If you're in the chair, do what you like. You know, hold the chair leg, put your hand in your lap, let your arm hang. One more breath. We're going to come on up and lower that arm down, and we're going to inhale the left arm up. And again, bend your elbow when you get it up there if you can. Let your gaze stay forward. So you're trying not to round here into the upper back, but instead, it's almost like your chest comes just a little bit forward. You feel really open. Good. And then reach into that long arm again, and we're going to come over into that side stretch. So coming into that breath into the left ribs. Good. And then we'll rise back up. We're going to lower our arms down. Let's make one big circle with the arms. Bring the arms forward and up. And again, depending on you, how far back, just let yourself come back as far as you can. Once the hands get down, reverse. So start to the back and let yourself reach forward and then bring the arms on forward here and down. Good. And shake out your hands just a little bit here. Good. And we're going to make our way on around towards our hands and knees. So be mindful, you know you don't need to be on your knees unless you want to. You can have your hands up in the seat of the chair, or you can put a blanket underneath your hands or underneath your knees, or you can come down onto your forearms if you want to and get out of your hands entirely. If you do have your hands, not fists, but your hands flat on the surface there that you're on, spread them wide and Really feel your fingers there. Feel equal through your hands. And then as you exhale, drawing up into that cat pose. Feel the tailbone releasing down. Let your head hang if you can. And on your inhale, come on back through to your cow or towards your neutral if you'd rather not come into that little bit of a back bend. And then just take your time. You know, if any part of moving through your spine here feels, you know, not quite right, you don't need to go fully into a cat or a cow pose. You can just find the movement that you can find in your own spine. Let yourself, you're going to feel the belly engaging when you think about coming up into that cat pose. But just imagine that you're just flowing through your spine. Doesn't have to be extreme. We're going to finish off the one that we're on. And then we'll come to more neutral spine here, looking down between your hands. We're going to step our left foot forward and our right foot back. Coming into that first lunge of choice, how high you are. Hands can be on the chair, they can be on the blocks or the floor. But just be mindful of that front knee. See if you can, just let yourself start to bring the back of your head like it's coming into line with your spine. So rather than lifting your chin up or even dropping your chin down, instead, let yourself get lined up there so you have this long line down the back of your body. And you feel really open through the back of that right leg. One more breath. And we are going to switch legs. So however you want to come to the other side. Again, finding that alignment there. Remember, it's like you're on really narrow railroad tracks. Allow yourself to just enjoy and zip up your belly a little bit. Think about zipping up, pubic bone to belly button. Good. We're going to switch legs again. And once you feel pretty stable in your lunge there, if you feel like lifting your left hand or forearm up to your thigh there, you can, but you don't need to. Totally up to you. And we will switch one more time. So again, once you get really into the pose, if bringing that right hand up feels good, you can. And then we'll step forward and come on into our standing forward bend of choice. So remember, if you need to keep that long back, you go ahead and use what support you need. You can stack blocks up on the seat of the chair if you need to, so that you can get out of your hands and put your forearms on blocks, or you can come on forward as much as feels okay for you. Knees, remember, can be bent. Actually, walk a little bit if you can. Let yourself bend a knee at a time. If you can lift up the heel on that knee, the leg of you're bending the knee on, then go ahead and go all the way up to the ball of the foot when you bend your knee. So you work through your feet a little bit too. And then finish off, come on back into center. And again, knees can be soft. Just make sure you're not locking your knees, or you can let them bend deeper if you'd like. Full deep breaths, accepting those breaths, feeling the ribs expand. And then we'll let our hands come on up to our hips, bend our knees, and rise up to standing. And we're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts, coming into mountain pose. So if you need to sway around a little bit, adjust anything you do, let yourself get comfortable. Take your time as you bring your gaze forward. Feel your feet equal in the floor. Really imagine that sense of once the pelvis aligns, imagine the sense of the body just naturally wanting to align. So when the tailbone is reaching down towards between your heels, there's that natural curve in your back. Hips want to be over the ankles and shoulders over your hips. Equal between your feet. As we unfold our arms right on down beside us now, we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend the knees and come on forward into your standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find that nice flat back. Wherever you want your hands to be, let yourself find that flat back. And we're going to step our right foot back and find a lunge here. And we'll make our way into downward facing dog pose. And you know it is totally your choice where your hands are for your down dog. Walk a little bit. If you can bend a knee at a time in your dog to walk a bit, do. And then come on back into dog. Whether your knees are bent or straight, feel your elbows softly hugging inward. Reach back equally through your sitting bones. And on the next inhale, come forward and out towards a plank. And you know you don't have to go all the way. You go where you can. You can do push-ups if you want to. You can stay in your plank. Feel the sitting bones reaching down towards the heels. Put your knees down if you'd rather, though. And then we'll come on back into down dog. Reaching back again into our downward facing dog pose. And this time right foot will come forward to come into lunge. So you know whatever you need to do to get into that lunge. Really draw your shoulders down, find that full length through the spine in your lunge. And we'll come forward back to standing forward bend again. And right to our breaths. Easy in and out. Feel your head. If you can, let your head release. Unless it bothers your back, let your head hang. And then feel the fullness of the breaths, both on your inhales and your exhales. Feeling the ribs expand in all directions. As we let our knees bend, we're going to bring our hands to our hips and rise straight on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down through the midline. Good. Let's unfold our arms on down beside us. Bring your hands behind you and just interlace your fingers. Let your arms be pretty long. I mean, you don't want to lock your elbows, but let your arms be long. Now, you can feel what your pelvis is doing because your hands are touching right back there, right? So you can feel if you tuck your tailbone forward, which rounds the upper back and really messes up all alignment, doesn't it? But if you think about reaching your tailbone down towards between your heels or even a little behind your heels, there's your pelvis in its natural alignment. It feels really easy to be here. So one more inhale. And on the exhale, bend your knees. Come forward with your knees bent and try to stay about parallel to the floor. So you're looking straight down. You're reaching back through your tailbone. And you can stay right here. You can keep folding forward if you choose to. And if your arms want to release a little bit or a lot off your back, go for it. Right? That kind of depends on how far forward you come. It's harder to lift your arms up when you're halfway, and it's probably a little bit easier if you're able to fold over your legs. And then we're going to release our arms on down and let yourself on your next inhale find that nice flat back again. And we're going to step left foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So reaching back again to down dog. And let it feel like your whole body is involved in your down dog, right? Because it is, of course. You're getting a stretch in the backs of the legs. You're getting that sense of length through the spine. You've got side stretches going on through both sides of the body, your shoulders. Really getting nice work. We're going to come on out to a plank. And again, you can decide half plank, knees down. Go to your forearms if you want. Bend your elbows if you want to. Do little push-ups. Think about if you do push-ups that your elbows are kind of coming in towards your rib cage, your outer rib cage. And then finish off to come back to down dog again. And we'll bring the left foot forward to find lunge here. And again, whatever you need to do to get there. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Feet right underneath us. right to your breast. Get wherever you're comfortable to be in your standing forward bend. Let go through your jaw. So if you're finding some tension there, just try to think about releasing all around your mouth, even relaxing your throat. And we'll let our hands come on back up to our hips, press into our feet and rise up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And we're going to reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings. Bend your knees as you come forward. It takes it out of your back. Let your next inhale help you find that nice flat back again. We are going to walk into a downward facing dog pose from here. So let yourself come back into your down dog. And on your next inhale, moving on out towards that plank. It is optional to do any kind of a back bend here. If you want, you can come to the floor and do a Sphinx or a Cobra. You can stay in your plank. You can go through for an up dog if you choose. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. So again, be mindful in your dog. If you need to wag your tail or walk your dog or turn your head a little bit side to side, just kind of play. Be playful in your dog a little bit. We are going to do that same thing. Inhale our way out to that plank. And again, it is totally optional whether you want to add a back bend or not. Maybe you'd rather stay in your plank, work on your core strength. Maybe you'd rather come into a little Cobra or a dog or a Sphinx. And then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Good. From here, let's bring our right foot forward. Come into that lunge. Press the feet away from each other. Feel your belly engaging. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Good. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Go right to your breaths. Full and deep. And think about them being fairly even. Letting your breaths if you can. Let your inhales and exhales come close to the same length. It's not exact, but good. One more breath. And then we'll let our hands come up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise on up. Inhaling our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, letting our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So enjoy your mountain pose. If you need to sway around a little bit, do. Sometimes it actually feels really good to go side to side or front to back. Just to let yourself get centered out there. Bringing your gaze on out, whether your eyes are opened or closed, like you're looking at the horizon and feeling that length in the back of your throat. Nice. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us and move around, shake out. If you need to walk around a little bit, do. And I'm going to turn my chair around. We're going to come into a little bit of warrior 2 here. So have your blocks handy if you don't have a chair there, or maybe even if you do, maybe you want both. We'll step our right foot back, and we're going to come on into that warrior 2, right foot about parallel to the back edge, and left knee bent, no farther forward than your ankle there. Good, and then see if you can just let your hands come in front of your chest, come into your prayer hands there for a second. Good, and then inhale the hands up through the midline of the body. We're going to open the arms out and keep the palms facing up as you lower your arms to warrior 2 arms. And you can look at the the palm of that left hand there for a second. Let your elbows be soft. And then turn your hands down so the palms face down. Now reach out equally through both sets of fingertips. Imagine you're reaching towards the wall, both in front of you and behind you with your fingertips. But soften your shoulders down. Good. We're going to turn the left palm up and inhale, reach up towards the ceiling with that left hand. And on the exhale, we'll come into side angles. So you can use your chair for your hand or your forearm. You can use your thigh. You can rise that right arm up if you want into line with the right side of the body, or keep the right hand down on your hip. Don't need to add the arm if it's too much for your shoulder. Take your time there. Good, we're gonna come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. Good, now let your right hand come down onto your right hip and straighten your left knee out and bring your left hand down for a triangle pose. So again, you can have this hand up high. It can be on your chair, on your thigh. You can go down towards your shin or the chair seat or a block. Lifting the right arm up from the shoulder here is, again, totally optional. Feel those thighs engaging up towards the hips a little bit. Good, one more breath. And then we'll bend that front knee. Left knee's gonna bend. We're gonna come back to warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. Nice. Now let's bring our arms down. We're gonna turn our feet more parallel. So you know, for a wide-legged forward bend, adjust your stance, and if you want your blocks in front of you, grab them so you have a little support there, or have your hands on the floor. And then go ahead and take your time. If bending a knee at a time feels good to you, let yourself do that. If you know that's not comfortable for your knees, don't do it. Good. And then come on back into center so that your knees are evenly bent or they're both straighter, right? And let's walk over to the right. Either just shift your blocks a little to the right or walk towards your foot if you want to go all the way to the foot. It's a different feeling, of course, if you're up on blocks or your hands are down towards the foot. So actually, sometimes it's fun to alter. If you usually do it one way or the other, try just a little bit different feeling as you come to that side. And then we'll walk back through center. And again, take your time as you go to the left. It depends on you how far and whether you want to walk in closer towards the foot or kind of stay out in front of your foot. Yeah, it just makes it feel a little bit differently, even just a few inches difference of where you bring your body and your hands. That's what's so fun about all these poses, right? Just those little things can change it entirely. We're going to come on back into center and take your time. Let yourself set up for how you can stay in this pose for a few breaths. So maybe it's, stacking blocks up to get out of your hands. Maybe that feels better to you, or you can stay with your hands on the blocks, you know that. Or you can put your elbows above your knees to support your back. Or release to let your head hang and let your hands come even more towards between your feet if you like. And now, breathing. Really, if you can just stay with your breath in and out and get so involved in your breathing that you forget about what you're doing, that's really the ticket. You just don't feel any kind of strain in your body at all anymore. You're just so focused on your breaths in and out. Whatever helps you do that, remember, if you like to think a word, there's that inhaling, thinking so, exhaling, hum. Or you can pick your own words, or you can count. We are going to slowly think about bringing ourselves up. So be mindful. You're upside down a while or you're forward a while, so be careful if you're dizzy. Take your time. Walk out whatever you need to walk out. And we are going to come to the other side here now. So left foot's going to step back. And again, getting yourself the length of stance where you feel pretty good to be. However far your feet are apart, make sure that front knee is bent no farther forward than your ankle. And then again, if you can let your hands just come right to be in front of your heart there. Feel balanced between your feet, all the way up through your legs into your hips. And then we'll inhale the hands up through the midline, open the arms, keep the palms facing up as you lower them and start to look at your right palm there. So let the elbows be soft, feel the shoulders nice and soft. And keep that same softness as you turn your hands, palms down, and reach outward now, like you're reaching towards the wall in front of you with your right hand and the back of you with your left hand. And just stay soft in the tops of the shoulders. Feel the feet pressing away from each other. Warrior two, amazing pose. And let's lower our left hand down, turn our right palm up, and inhale, reach up towards the sky. Full breath into the right side. And on the exhale, we'll come into that side angle. So you know you can use your chair for your hand or your forearm. You can use your own thigh. And you can decide if the left arm coming up into line sounds like a good idea or not. It's perfectly fine to keep your left hand down, remember? Just enjoy. See if you can feel your feet in the floor here. Good. We're going to come back to warrior two from there, pressing those feet away from each other. And we're going to put our left hand on our left hip and straighten our right knee out. And we're going to bring our right hand down for triangle. So again, it can be way high up. Your torso is extending out over that front leg. And adding the top hand up straight from your shoulder so that you come into that long arm is again optional. Or keep your left hand on your hip. Remember, that right hand can be on your leg, on a block, on a chair, whatever feels good. And then we're going to bring ourselves back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other. And hands are going to come down. We're going to turn our feet again more parallel. And we're going to make our way forward. So be mindful. Grab your blocks, of course. Again, see if you can, once you get there, wiggle around. If you need to change your stance a little bit, do. If you feel like you want to bend your knees one at a time or both, or just be mindful. Let it feel like you can adjust into the pose. And then when you get ready to stay in the pose and go back to that intense focus on your breath, get comfortable, right? So obviously, if you're in a little bit of discomfort in your body anywhere, it's going to be a lot harder to bring your focus to your breath. But your breath can take you to amazing places. So just give yourself a few breaths here, keeping your awareness all the way through to the end of your inhales, all the way through to the end of your exhales, and it just keeps on. One more full deep breath. And to come up from this, be really mindful again if you need to adjust your stance before you come up. Take your time so you feel good to come up and then good to walk around a little bit. Move through your feet and your ankles. Good. And instead of doing pyramid out in the center, we're actually going to use the wall for it. So just put your mat in short edge of the mat to the wall. And then we'll turn to face the wall. And we're going to let ourselves, you can do it without the wall if you want to, it's up to you. We're going to let ourselves put our hands on the wall, step our right foot back, and come into a pyramid pose here where we're maybe up higher, right? You can let yourself be up higher than parallel to the floor. Or you can, in your pyramid, decide you want to lower yourself down. That is totally up to you whether you come parallel to the floor or stay up higher. But your legs are still going to be working like crazy. So that right foot is turned out, maybe 20, 30 degrees, and it's fully on the floor. And your thighs are engaging up. Nice. And your spine is lengthened, which, if your wrists bother you here, you can do fists. You know that. So just feel the legs working. All right, enjoy those thighs engaging upwards. Good. One more breath on this side. And then we're gonna switch legs. So just step on forward with the right foot, back with the left foot. And again, letting yourself come on out. Remember, if your wrists bother you, you can do fists, or you can even put just fingertips on the wall. That'll take the bend out of your wrist too, right? Oh, good, nice, everybody. Everybody's hips are very squared off, amazing. Lengthen through the spine, amazing. So just really, all you're doing is feeling your thighs lifting upward. It's like you're creating space in your knees, and you feel the backs of the legs, obviously. Good, one more breath there. And then bend that right knee, step into the wall, and turn your right hand to the wall. And now, like we did in the chair, cross your left ankle above your right knee. And then just act like you're going to sit back a little bit, just to let your left hip release a little bit. Good. And then come on up and just switch legs. Keep this hand to the wall. All you're going to do is cross the right inside leg now. And then again, kind of sit back a little bit. Let it feel good. Release the hip there. You know, if you need to cross lower into the ankle, do it. Good. And then come on up. And let's come back to standing on our right foot and crossing our left thigh over our right. Like and just keep your right hand on the wall, but thigh over thigh, and bend your right knee a little bit for eagle. Now, just here, staying right here is a lot of work. If you squeeze your thighs towards each other, really squeeze, and lift your pelvic floor a little bit, right? There's a lot of work going on. You don't have to balance in this pose. This is huge hip work. You can, if you want to think about bouncing, you can. You can think about bringing your hands to your heart, right? But come on up from that. We're just going to switch legs. So again, you're just going to stay on this same right hand to the wall. And then cross your thigh over your thigh. Flex your right foot. And then squeeze your thighs towards each other. Feel the pelvic floor lifting up a little bit. And you know, that's a lot of strength right there. And if you actually do that action of squeezing and lifting, it kind of takes it out of your hip a little. Do you feel that? I mean, it makes it a little more doable, or maybe not. And then come on up, turn your back to the wall, let your feet walk out maybe a foot away from the wall, and then just bend your knees slightly, just a little bit, right? So you're not really putting stress into, you're not really feeling a lot of work in your thighs. Just relax there. Let your arms float out a little away from you, and turn the backs of your hands to the wall. And there you are. Now already, if you think about shifting your hips forward and then straightening your legs out a little bit, but keeping the back of your head into the wall, there's a little bit of a back bend. If it's too much on your back, don't do it. Shift back with the hips to the wall, right? But if you can, shift forward and straighten the legs out and keep your chin parallel to the floor and your hands back there. There's a back bend. You have to keep lifted up through the belly, and there's a release down on the low back. Good. One more breath. Good. We're going to shift our hips back to the wall again if they were forward, and we're going to come forward. Now, you might even want to walk your feet out a little farther. And you can either put your hands right above your knees to support yourself, or you could put your forearms, elbows down above your knees. Let it feel like a good release, you know, so that what you're doing doesn't feel like stress. It's a relief for your back and your hips. And I know some of you do like to come forward over your legs. If you like to straighten your legs out and fold right all the way over your legs, you can, if that feels like a deep release for your low back. And for some people, that is not a release. It's way too much, right? So just let yourself go where you can. Enjoy your breath. Now we're going to rise up to do that. Bend the knees again if they were not bent, and then rise yourself back up to the wall and walk your feet on back in. Good. Let's turn back. Let's go left shoulder to the wall this time. And then come into that left arm coming up the wall. The inside left arm comes up. And then bend your elbow and let your left hand come wherever it can, right? So if you want, you can step away from the wall a little bit, or you can stay in, closer to the wall. And then you decide about whether your right hand can just rest on the low back with the palm out there, or maybe you feel like you want to work your hands towards each other on your back there. So don't force it. Keep your gaze forward. Let yourself enjoy feeling that sense of really being open across your chest so that you're not looking down and rounding into that upper back. Yeah, and your tailbone's still dropping down towards between your heels. Good. We're going to step away from the wall, release the arms down, and we're going to switch sides. So shake it out. Bring that right arm on up once you're in there and bend your elbow. Again, if you need to step a little more away from the wall or let the elbow come forward, do. And again, hand can be just resting on your low back and let yourself just feel again. It's almost like the chest is coming a little bit forward, but not so much that you hyperextend into your front ribs. And you also definitely want to keep that tailbone reaching down towards between your heels. Nice. One more breath. And then let yourself release and shake it out a little bit. We are going to come down onto our bellies on the floor from here. I'm going to turn back around on my mat. And come on down to rest on your belly on the floor. And make that little pillow with your hands. Rest your forehead on your hands if you're comfortable to do that. And just breathe. Really easy breaths. Feeling the low back. Expand a little bit as you breathe in. And you'll feel your belly press down into the floor too. So it's almost like you're breathing into your pelvis, really, right? The whole pelvis just like expands. Now just staying here, bend your right knee and flex your right foot and just pull it in a little bit, not using your hand, just your muscles to draw the heel in as close as you can towards your buttocks. And then bring that foot down and we'll just switch. So the left foot comes up, flex the left foot, and just feel yourself drawing that heel in. And almost imagine that you're reaching down more with that left knee. See what happens if you reach down with the left knee and then pull the heel in. And then go ahead and let the legs come long. And from here, let's come on up to our forearms into a Sphinx pose. So letting your palms face down, letting your gaze come there between your hands if you can. Remember, if this is too high, slide your elbows down towards your waist and come lower. So you don't want to feel any stress. The belly is engaged. The tailbone's slightly curling down, but you don't want to really grip your buttocks. You want to just feel this sense of the belly really keeping you safe in your back, right? Good. And now from here, see if you can bend your right knee again and flex through the foot. And just feel like you're pulling the heel in again a little bit towards your buttocks. And then switch, lower that leg down, do the left one. And then lower that one down. Now we're going to try both. So from your Sphinx, see if you can bend both your knees. Now, chances are you're not going to want to pull those heels in as much when both the feet are up. So don't. It's like a version of bow pose. So one more breath. And then let the legs come down. And let yourself release all the way down with the upper body too. And let your arms come down alongside your body. Turn your palms down towards the floor. They're out a little bit from your mat. And on the next inhale, let your head and your legs float up a little into a locust pose. Just keep your hands down for a second, but try not to roll your shoulders down towards the ground. Draw your shoulders away from the floor, and then lower everything back down. Take a couple of breaths into your low back, with your low back rising as you inhale. And then again, on your next inhale, float everything up into that locust. Your hands too this time. Doesn't mean you need to come high, but you're reaching the fingertips and the toes back towards the wall behind you. And then we'll release to come on back down. And bring your hands like you're going to do a push-up by your chest here. And now, come up with your head a little bit, your chest. There's a little baby cobra. If you just lift your head up, your chest comes up too. Hug your elbows in. Then imagine that you're just pulling your hands down towards the foot of your mat. Elbows keep hugging in. So there's a real length actually in the low back there. And then we'll release down. And we're going to shift back towards pose of a child from here. So as you reach back, big toes together, knees apart, let yourself release to where you can. You know that. If you need to stay somewhat forward on your forearms, do. Breathe into your low back. Let yourself feel that sense of the breath widening the low back. Good. And now let's come over with our hands to the right. So we're coming over to the side, to the right, in our child's pose. And we're going to breathe into that left side a little bit. So you can do that, still without your hips being down towards your heels. And then come on back through center, and we'll go the other side. Again, just as far as you want to go, and then just letting the breath expand the right ribs there. Good, and then we'll bring our hands on back to center. Take one more nice full breath here. And we're going to make our way on up to sitting. So letting yourself come on up and around with your legs. So take your time. Bring your legs on out in front of you. And let your feet wiggle around a little bit if you need to. Your legs. You can massage your kneecaps a little bit too if you want to. And let's keep our left leg long. So if you want to sit up on a blanket, go ahead and put a blanket underneath you. We're going to do a little twist. And let's bring our right foot across, if you can, to the outside of this left long leg somewhere. And if that's too much, put it on the inside. So you got to kind of, if you move this long leg more to the midline, it's usually easier to cross over with that foot. But sit up nice and tall here and hold on to this right leg however you need to really lengthen up. Inhaling. And on the exhale, we're going to twist to our right. So your left hand can keep holding that right knee there, or you can, if it's right up close to you, you can hook your elbow around the knee, or you can bring your arm across to the outside of the leg. So coming into your twist and lengthening through the back of the neck and the throat. And you can look to the side of the room. You can think about turning to look more behind yourself if you want to. One more breath. And now use your belly to slowly bring you back around into center. And we are going to switch legs. So again, if you get that right leg more up to the midline, it's usually easier to cross to the outside, but don't force anything. If it feels funny in your knee or your hip, don't do it. Bringing the foot to the inside is fine. So inhaling up here into the length. And on your exhale, twisting to your left. And again, as you bring yourself around, you decide. Do you want to let your hand be on your knee? Do you want to draw that thigh in towards you by hooking your elbow around the knee or bringing your arm to the outside? Just take your time. Enjoy. Again, that space in the back of the neck and throat. So looking directly beside you there to the wall if you want, or maybe it feels good to think about, oh, I want to look back. Good. And one more breath here. And then as you come back around, use your belly to bring you on back. And let's bring our legs on out again in front of us and shake them out just a little bit. Move through your feet and your ankles. Good. And now bring your legs a little wider. Okay, so it can be as wide as you want. So if you know that this pose for you, you don't want your legs that wide because you can't sit up tall, then, and use your hands if you need behind you. If your hips are built that your legs like to come out wide and it feels even better, then do that, right? So sitting up nice and tall in your wide angle, and use your hands behind you if you need. And then see about letting yourself think about coming forward, even if you don't actually do it, right? Coming forward from the low back, feeling those inner thighs. Now, if you can imagine that your knees and your toes are facing up towards the ceiling, so that they don't, some people, the tendency is to roll the legs forward, and some are the opposite, to roll the legs back, right? But just for fun, try to keep them directly up to the ceiling. And then just enjoy. Open through the inside of the legs here, the outside of the legs, up into the hips. You can put your hands on your feet, you can put your hands in front of you, you can use block if you want in front of you on the floor. Good, one more breath. As you start to come up, be mindful as you make your way up. Use your hands to bring your legs on around. Good. So we're going to come down onto our backs on the floor as we listen to the baby birds chirp and being fed. They won't last much longer. It's a few days. They've already been going a few days, so enjoy those little chirps. Blocks handy in case you want for bridge pose. And if you're like, no, I don't worry about it. Bring your knees on in once you get down to the floor. Let yourself roll a little bit side to side. Good, and then keep your right knee in, but put your left leg down low on the floor. I mean, you can put your foot and then lengthen your leg down, however you want to let that leg come long. Flex through both your feet and feel your right leg gently coming into your hands. And just enjoy allowing the back to align itself. The floor is an amazing aligner. And then let your right hand draw your right knee to the right. And kind of like imagine you're drawing the knee up towards your shoulder. And your left hand can just rest on the top of your left hip pointer bone there so you stay grounded in your left side. And then come back into center with the knee. Let your left hand come to the right knee and bring the knee across towards the left. So you, as far as you want, maybe just a little bit. Maybe you like to release your right hip off the floor. But just letting yourself find the best release for you there. One more breath. And then come on back into center again with that knee. And we're going to switch and bring the left knee in. And stretch the right leg down long on the floor. Flex through both your feet. And again, engage by just gently pressing your left leg into your hands, but your hands kind of keep it from going any farther, and you can feel that little bit of a natural curve in your low back. And now keep your left hand on your left knee. Right hand comes to the top of the right hip there, and draw the knee to the left. So you're just coming over into outward hip rotation, and you're letting yourself stay grounded in that right side. And then come back into center with the knee. Reach your right hand over to that left knee. Your left arm can just stretch out beside you and draw the knee on over. Again, only as far as you want to go. You come across a little bit, or maybe you like the left hip to come off the floor and go farther and farther into that twist. Good. And one more breath here. And then come on back into center with the knee. Go ahead and bring your right knee in too. So you have both knees up there. And then separate your knees. Let your hands slide onto either your shins or your ankles, or maybe you want to wrap your hands around your feet in your reclined Baddha Konasana here. And just be mindful. Just let it feel really good to feel that openness through the inner thighs. You don't need to force your feet together or anything. And if it's too deeply bent for your knees, kind of let the feet come up more towards a bit of a happy baby if that's better. Just let your back and your hips release. Also a great pose for the pelvic floor in this one. And then we'll bring our knees on back and let your arms come overhead. Put your feet on the floor. And your arms are soft. So, I mean, let them be comfortable. They might come wider. They might go directly overhead. But let your elbows bend. Let your arms just relax. And then feet a little bit wider. Let your knees come from one side to the other. And you can go as low down towards the ground as you want, as you let the knees come one way and then the other. You take your time. If you like to hang out on one side, do. If you prefer to keep moving back and forth, do that. Good. And then finish off whatever one you're doing there. Come on back with the knees up and bring your feet set up for bridge pose. Bring your arms on down alongside you. If you need to adjust anything, do it, right? And take your time. If you prefer to just right away reach over and get a block, do. You can go right up onto your block, or you may decide you prefer to make a little bit of bridge work go on here without the block, where you press into your arms and rise up. So be mindful and just allow yourself to be where you want. If you want to use the block and stay relaxing onto it, do. If you feel like you want to use the block and lift up and down off of it, you can. You know that. And those of you who are playing on the block, play the way you want to. If you want a leg to come up, do it. If you want to let yourself bring your legs up in the air once you're supported on a block, or do any of that work for your core strength there, the leg lifts that are really so much more fun when you're up on a block. You can let one leg at a time come down and just keep that alignment of your pelvis so you're not popping up and down with your low back. And that's what's going to allow you to use your belly and your low back, right? And of course, if you like that opening for the front of the hip, you can let either one leg at a time go long so that you just have yourself to open up the front of one hip at a time, or a lot of people like to lie with both their legs long at the same time and let the front of the body open up there. That's up to you. Actually, for a long time, I couldn't do that at all. Now I can. It's not always the best thing for me though, but that's what's so fun. Everybody's different. You can find what feels the best to you. feel ready to come down, take your time as you come on down from your block. And release to bring the knees in towards your chest into whatever pose feels best. If happy baby feels better, or just knees coming in and circling or going side to side. And just be mindful. Let it feel really good. Maybe there's something else that sounds good. You might want to do another twist right here. You might just want to stretch your legs up in the air or come into any other kind of movement or pose. Doesn't have to be a traditional yoga pose, but it feels good. Take your time to finish and let your body do whatever is going to help you be more comfortable for Shavasana. Start to move around and get the lights, and then I'll be around to, of course, bring for us here at the studio bolsters or whatever other support or blanket if you need. At home, let yourself get comfortable. You know, unless a few of you have changed your mind, I kind of know what you want. Some of us are different today. So let me know if you want a blanket like for under your head to support a little bit, to release the back of your neck. Same thing if you're at home and you feel a little tension in the back of your neck. You can always put just a fold. It doesn't need to be a big pillow. You don't want a big pillow. You want to get your head in line so that you can release the back of your neck and throat. And just release into your breath here now, accepting your breaths in and out. Nothing you need to do. You know, breathing is going to happen. All you need to do is just watch that wave of your breath as it comes in and goes out. It might change a little bit. It might become a little quieter, a little more shallow. And then when you come back to your breath, if your mind wanders, you might need to take in a little bit deeper breath. And just be comfortable with your own breath. Just be at home really with your own breath. And as you start to feel the body relax and the brain quiet a little bit, you'll get a chance to benefit from all you just did. So just allow yourself to completely and fully relax. exhales, lengthen out a little bit longer, and imagine you're sending your breath all through your body, out through your arms and legs to the tips of your fingers and your toes. So the breath is refreshing you really, bringing you back into wanting to move. And when you're ready, as you start to feel your fingers, your toes, and hands and feet wanting to move, just gradually move on up through your extremities and let your arms, your legs move the way you need. Your head might even want to roll side to side. Stretch if you need to. Just be mindful, and of course you know you're welcome anytime to roll onto either your right or your left side if that's comfortable for you. You can stay with your head on your arm if you need for a pillow, and enjoy the ground a little bit longer. And be easy when you do feel like you're ready to rise up to sitting, so that it feels pretty natural to get comfortable sitting on the floor however you want. If you need to cross your legs or stretch them out or get a blanket, do. Letting yourself start to lengthen up again. Feel your shoulders nice and soft and open. And really do imagine that the central column of your spine is supporting you. So you can stay really easy in your shoulders and soft. Your hips can feel released. Your spine is just lengthening up. And your head's just floating up there on top. And on your next exhale, let your hands come gently to meet there in front of your heart. And wishing